And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to HomeStory Cup 25 Group Stage Day number 2. I apologize for the delay. I apologize for the extended break, but we have returned with the remainder of Group D. I'm of course Just Live VIP, and with me I'm joined by these amazing players as we dive into our next series, our second best of 3 of the group. And spawning in the top left hand corner of Amphion, we have our Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the Finnish Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Berserker Esports. It is Mixu. Let us go. Again, we were just waiting for round 1 to complete. For those that are maybe unawares, round 1 did just conclude on the main stream with Drogo versus a Laser. Drogo and a Laser just wrapped up their series, which means it's the green light for round number 2. We're here, we're back, we're on Amphion. As Mixu is opening up with a bit of an extractor trick, just going for a hatch first opener. Imagine into that spawning pool thereafter. Meanwhile, Trigger going for a gate expand. Everything looking pretty normal from the side of our Protoss player. Nothing too crazy for the time being. Again, Amphion is an interesting one when it comes to the new map pool. There are many maps with unique features, as we do have a pool follow-up. Interesting. What's a 15 variation? I believe it was just a 14-15 opener out of Mixu. But when it comes to Amphion, again, a lot of these new maps, they have some new features. Of course, one of them being these mineral walls here on the left side of the map to gain access to a very secure third base. This third base is quite difficult to really apply pressure to and be aggressive on, just because you have to knock down rocks or mine through your own minerals to gain access to this location. So as a result, we've seen a lot of defensive play. We've seen a lot of 3 to 4 bases and a very difficult to break Protoss in the PvZ matchup. This is also why we've seen a rise in popularity in Spire play. Like Spire and Mutas, they can kind of work around all the terrain that can otherwise be difficult to work with and try to bypass that, get across the map, get damage done. I'm curious where Mixu takes this, as we are already mining through those mineral patches. Okay, mineral patches are being worked on as we speak. Mixu is going to be gaining access to this side of the map just in case, just so we can apply some pressure and look to delay the third, as Trigger is setting up back at home, soon to be going for his tech of choice. We have our initial Stalker on the way. Interesting, going Stalker first, not Adept, and we're going for a Robo Opener. Okay, Trigger, he's cooking. I'm curious where this takes us. A Robo Opener is very unique. It is not very commonplace in the meta. And I'm reminded of NA Protoss players. I'm reminded of Nina, Estrella. They are willing to embrace something crazy like Colossus drops or Disruptor drops. That's what I'm leaning towards. With a fast Robo Opener, it can lead into a Prism, with a Bay, into Warp Prison Speed, into Disruptor drops, or again, Colossus drops if you want to be a little bit spicier. So I'm curious if that's where Trigger is taking us. Oh, as we do get a couple of hits in. Overlord Scout is going to be denied. Mixu will be in the dark as Mixu expands, takes the triangular third base on the left-hand side. Is taking his third, is happily joining in. Yep, there's the Bay. The Bay is on the way. We are getting into drop play. Observer into Prism, into Warp Prison Speed. Because it's Warp Prison Speed, there should be Disruptors, but again, I don't want to put Colossus off the table just because, look, hey, if players like Nina and Estrella do it, Trigger is one to embrace it as well. Very cheeky way to open up here. Now, this opener can leave you quite vulnerable just because we're lacking much of a map presence, but specifically on Amphion, because of how secure we are, you can see here a full wall off. We have a full wall off and we should be able to expand on the left hand side. Like, we're under really no big danger here outside of an all-in, which Mixu is not going for. So we can cut corners, we can skip warp-ins, we can get away with this. On another map, we would be vulnerable, we'd be exposed. That is not happening here, as there's Warp Prison Speed on the way, and we're going for, okay, the Disruptor drop. Likewise, we don't even mine through the mineral patches, we just drop over the wall. Okay, Trigger, I see you. You have my attention. Meanwhile, that's an early Roach Warren. Ooh, that was around a 4-minute, maybe 350-ish Roach Warren timing. Very early Roach Warren out of Mixu. I'm curious if we plan on being aggressive or if maybe Mixu is concerned. I would imagine he's concerned, bearing in mind that Mixu, his scout was denied. He did not know if there was a Stargate or not, so it looks like a safe Roach Warren here out of Mixu. In case it was Adepts, for example. Like, if there were Glaive Adepts, we would need Roaches ASAP. Meanwhile, third base is confirmed. The Observer takes a couple of hits. Robo falling back. We have 4 Adepts on the ground, and Disruptors are soon to be loaded up and soon to be dropped across the map. Now it's going to be all about how well Mixu can split. Whether or not we can avoid these purification novas as the prism is about to zoom across the map. And again, likewise, Adeptoras as well. Roaches are amassing as we speak. They're going to be able to zone away the Adepts. Adepts do shade on back, and this is a really awkward position here as both Mixu and Trigger have expanded on the left-hand side. And Mixu can counterattack quite quickly and knock down this third base. Meanwhile, Prism is here. Disruptors looking for a way in. So far, so good. The Queens do zone the Prism away. So far, these Disruptors have yet to pay for themselves. I'm loving the Spore position as well. Just a really solid anchor point here to zone away the Prism. And we may as well go for the Queens. It takes 2 shots, and the Queens pull back in time. Oh, so far, no big connections. Rocks are being knocked down, and what is dangerous here is what we just mentioned. We are like a screen away from base to base. It doesn't take long at all to get across the map to hit the third. Roaches are amassing. Rocks are knocked down. Trigger does rotate over towards the mineral line. Going for the drones. Up. We do split, but workers are going down. We get just 2 drones. One Nova to connect, the other a little bit lackluster. Nice splits here out of Mixu. Does avoid those Novas, and here come the Roaches. Interesting that we're not going on the left-hand side. We're knocking down these rocks, avoiding the Observer. Oh, Trigger, he doesn't see. Trigger doesn't see, he doesn't know. Rocks are being knocked down, but we have Immortal production. Like behind those Disruptors, we have Immortals on the way, but of a supply block with 2 Immortals already. Shield battery overcharged, sentries, force fields, additional shield batteries and pylons. We're getting ready. We're amassing an army. Are amassing an army. Disruptor turning back around. So far, again, no big connections yet. Mixu does back up. Behind this Mixu, he's saturated 3 bases. He's at 62 workers. So 3 base saturation. We could be seeing a 4th for Larva, but for now, we're making nothing but Roaches. Infestation Pit on the way. Okay, Mixu is not going for an all-in. We are investing into tech. We're thinking further ahead. Looks like Mixu is not feeling too confident about pushing up a ramp into Immortals and Disruptors. Moves out. Mixu is vulnerable. Here come those Novas. Nova goes up. So far, good reaction out of Mixu. He does pull away in time. Once again, no big connections. We'll have 1 Nova left. At the same time, Roaches, they try to push in. Trigger in position. Nova goes up. Up. Oh, no connection. Disruptor barely goes down in time. Mixu does snipe it. Trigger pulling back. So far, good trades here out of Mixu. Minimizing losses. Mixu is about to max out. There's that 4th on the way. Taking a 4th base. Hive in production as we speak. Fossil range about to finish. Roach speed about to finish as well. Impressive that even with that Roach speed, we have avoided those Novas. Mixu has just been so careful with his control. At the same time, Trigger has been building up a solid Immortal count in a head-to-head fight. Even though the numbers are in favor of Mixu, this is where the soup does lie. Like, the supply here is inflated for the Protoss player. Nova's going to be going up. Only getting 2 drones. But Immortals, they are just so efficient against this Roach-based army. And we're just holding on, we're defending, we're hunkering down on 3 bases. The creep is looking solid here from Mixu. Storm is on the way. Question becomes, can Mixu contain? Can he deny the 4th? Bleeding out a couple of Roaches. Adepts being shut down on the right-hand side. At the same time, we can see Trigger applying pressure, trying to delay the 4th base of his opponent. And we're pushing in! Mixu, he's maxed. He's knocking down the front door. Gateways are falling. Trigger, he does have time. Again, the gateways, they bought enough time for the army to rotate over. That is 6 Immortals. Oh my god. Jesus. And honestly, this army pushing up this ramp into a concave of 6 Immortals, it's not going to end well for Mixu. He knows that. Well, the army a bit out of position. We do slip in. Miles not quite going to be connecting. Overcharge is popped. Once again, nice splits here out of Trigger. 1 Archon goes down. We do take some blasts on the face. We can see the force fields are insane. We cut up the army. Roaches and Ravagers are falling. Roaches did slip into the mineral line. At the same time, we have Zelts across the map. But the Prism went down. We're going to clean... No, sorry. Prism did survive, but the Disruptor goes down. We clean this up. We get 5 probe kills. And now Trigger is pushing out. He breaks free. He expands. Trigger takes a bit of trade back at home. Across the map, he delays reinforcements, but he doesn't get much done. 2 drones fall and not much else. Solid defense here by Mixu. What's scary though is that now we're getting onto even bases. Mixu's on 4 hatcheries, Trigger about to be on 4 nexus. And again, Trigger, the quality of his army is getting better and better. He hasn't lost any immortals, he has plenty of High Templar for Storm. Archons are amassing. Prism still threatening a dive into these bases. Meanwhile, the Hive is done, we're getting ready for Lurkers. Longer Tech is on the horizon for Mixu, we're done with Roach Ravager, we're getting ready for Hydra Lurker Viper. Until then, this Prism doing quite a bit. We get into the mineral line! A gas mining drone's going down, 9 worker kills at the same time, Roach counterattack, not getting much done. Yeah, the Roaches across the map are being shut down, we get 11 drone kills. And Trigger, he has scouted the tech, he's aware of the Hive, he's aware of the Viper. Yoink is coming in! Oh, can we yoink? Not quite. The Prism does escape, but he's fully aware of the potential for Lurker tech. That's where Immortals, they come into play once again. We've seen time and time again, Archon Immortal can deal with a decent amount of Lurkers. Eventually, we force Skytoss, and we should be thinking about a Skytoss transition, but until then, Trigger can hold his own. He can hold his own, and we don't even have that many Lurkers. We have 1 on the way. Spire here in production for Mixu, just in case Skytoss were on the horizon. We're just pushing forward. Not quite getting much. Yeah, Lurkers on the way. Storm gonna be stoning back Mixu. And Trigger, he wants to deny those Lurkers. Very precarious position here for these Lurkers as they do morph in on the front lines. So far, only 1 Lurker. Viper's coming in for some abductions. Not quite connecting. 1 Lurker's exposed, 1 Lurker goes down. We're going for the rest, and oh, the Roach army backs up. 3 Lurkers do fall at the same time. Prism into the main base does distract the Roaches. But Mixu does at least punish this somewhat, catching an Immortal. Oh, the feedback's up. Ooh. Catch High Templar. At the same time, Zelt's still across the map. They're still in the main. 10 workers go down. We catch some Queens as well. Reinforcements. Very nice counterattack here by Trigger. And look at the worker count here. Trigger is on 69 probes. Nice. Mixu down to 72. Mixu still resaturating, rebuilding, getting a 5th. Trigger's holding his own. Looking at the trades, Trigger lost 1 Immortal and 2 High Templar against 3 Lurkers. And lost 2 Archons as well. But he caught 3 Lurkers, a good chunk of Roaches. 12 drones. And the scary thing here is that Trigger's supply is getting larger and larger. And again, the quality of his army is superior, is insane. We need more Lurker tech. We need more Lurkers, Vipers, a solid buffer as well to sustain the army. Mixu's still getting there. Oh, the slow drop, let's go! We got Lurkers on the left-hand side and the Jumper Lord. They'll get across the map eventually, they're on the way. Overlord speed just started. We'll get there. That's halfway done. We're almost there. Overlord speed is halfway done. But that's where Nidus play comes into play, right? Dropper Lords as well, trying to distract and get behind this army somehow, some way into the main, onto the 5th. Bearing in mind that Trigger is taking a 5th base. Dropper Lord, almost there. Trigger rotating around, knocking down creep. Ooh. Yeah, rough pathing there. We bleed out Roaches, we bleed out Hydras. Solid yoinks. Dropped up 2 Immortals. The Blinding Cloud as well. The Storms are being thrown out, but this is a rough position for the Immortals. Yeah, they do get choked up. And Mixu slicing up the army. Yeah, it catches a good chunk of Immortals on one side and Immortals on the other. This was not the fight to take. Trigger losing so much at the same time. Here comes the drop. Comes the drop. Yeah, we're gonna shut it down. Doesn't get much done. There's potential, but Trigger did spot it ahead of time. Shuts down the Dropper Lord. But now Mixu has momentum. How many Immortals did we catch? 9. Oof, 9 Immortals went down. And Trigger just doesn't have enough. The Vials, they connect! The Vials connected. Mixu, he's breaking through. Loving the juggling here from Trigger, but numbers are not on his side. We focus on the Prism. No more juggling. The Fungal does connect. And Mixu, it looks like he has done it. He's broken the back of Trigger. Again, that fight earlier was brutal. Just cutting the army in half. with the blinding clouds, with the abductions. And Mixu, he's snowballing fast. Out of control. There's snow everywhere. We do have a line of static defense, cannons to shield batteries. Overcharge does buy time, but we're down to 1 Immortal, 1 Archon. Mixu is running out of energy, doesn't quite have enough to keep pushing. Here come the reinforcements. They have arrived. Mixu looking to break through, takes down the Immortal. The Yoink barely does not snipe. Okay, Immortal survives. I can say that for one, not quite the other. Did have enough energy for 1 more abduction. Lurker's on the way. If Trigger can somehow hold on a little bit longer to rebuild those Immortals, then maybe, but until then, the Leading Hydra pushing in once again. Shutting down the Zealots, started stepping forward, we focus on the final Immortal. Only Archons remain, and here come the Lurkers. The Fungal connects! We catch the Archons. Yeah, we're just wedging ourselves in between the 3rd and the 4th. In between the bases. We just cannot engage. Not here. Trigger is being just torn apart by the Lurker Hydra army. And once again, tearing down what little is left. Desperately warping in more Zealots, warping in more Archons. We take down the Cybercore. Mixu has done it. He's pushing towards the natural and towards the eventual main base of a Trigger. Pushing over towards the right-hand side. Again, Trigger trying to pull Mixu's army apart, but we have plenty of supply to work with is the problem. We're just looking to overwhelm. Trigger buying time for some storms, pulling back, and I mean the working count is solid here for Trigger. I mean it's okay for Trigger, but it's just gonna take so long to rebuild that army. That's the downside of this kind of heavy tech army for Trigger. GG gets called, just cannot remax in time, and Mixu will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Again, Trigger was holding his own. What I will say, winding it back though, is that the initial opener of Trigger was a little bit lackluster. We needed a little bit of a better trade. I'm referring to the Disruptor drop. If you remember, the Disruptor drop got, what, 6 drones maybe? Like a handful of workers here or there. Nothing too major. Mixu had a beautiful response to it. He reacted quite well. He was able to keep up with the Warp Prism, with the Disruptors, and was able to gain map control. From there, Trigger was able to break out and wrangle map control in a way away from Mixu, so there was a back and forth there in that game as Trigger was getting into a 4th and a 5th base. Things were looking pretty strong for Trigger, honestly, like things were looking good for him, but that did eventually lead into the fight on the right hand side. It led into Trigger overextending, pushing towards the 5th base. He was caught on the map as the Lurkers were able to engage, able to collapse on the army, the Vipers as well with their blinding clouds, with their abductions, and yeah, Trigger's army was picked apart. And with that, Mixu takes the lead. Impressive stuff here. A lot of people coming into this, myself included, would assume that Trigger is the favorite player coming into this series, and he is, but Mixu, he's fighting back. Showing us all that Mixu is one to contend against these other top tier players and maybe even vie for a qualification spot for a chance to make it into the playoffs. We'll see. It's still the early games of the series. We're still early on in the group. See if we can close this out or if Trigger can tie this up. The pressure is now on the Canadian Protoss player. We're getting into game 2 on Alkion. Let's go. Let us go. So we are getting into that next game. Spellcasting difference here. Yeah, there were moments where, unfortunately, there were no feedbacks that were thrown down from the side of Trigger. If there were, then suddenly, you know, the Vipers are rendered inert, right? Suddenly there are no blinding clouds, there are no abductions. True, like, there typically is like a back and forth between some of the spellcasters. That's something that we were unfortunately missing in that last game. But now we're getting into game 2. We're settling in and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkion. We have our Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Basilisk, down in this series, looking to tie things up, looking to force that ace match. The pressure is on. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player representing Berserker Esports from the land of Finland. It is Mixu. Leading the series 1-0, doing Cyril proud, Papi. Let's go. Again, Mixu, Cyril's firstborn. Question mark, maybe. Fellow Finnish Zerg player. Again, there aren't too many pros in Finland anymore. You know, Wellmove retired. Zhuge I believe, also retired as well. But Mixu has been on the rise. He is looking to, again, have a deeper run here in this event. People were speaking earlier how Zerg representation was lacking in HomeStory Cup. Without Raynor, without Cyril, without Lambo. Well, we got Mixu, Pat. we got Mixu. Looking to prove himself. Still going to be an uphill battle, though. Going to be an uphill battle. We'll see if he can pull it off. We'll see if Trigger can fight back. Personally, I would love to see an ace match. Personally, I would love to see this, regardless of how the series turns out. I would love to see a game 3 between these two players. Can we get there? As a massive shout out to Who's Shang in the chat. Oh my god, Bappy. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. Thank you for the support. Hope you enjoy the casting, the content, and the stream. Thank you so much. It's thanks to the support that we get in the chat that we're able to host our tournaments, fund our events, and continue to do this full time. So thank you, Papi, thank you. Hope you enjoy your emotes, your replay packs, and the casting. Thank you. Thank you. So we're settling in. So now it is going to be a standard hatch gas pool opener out of Mixu. No 15-15 variation. Meanwhile, Trigger this time calming down. Game 1, Mixu was... Sorry, I kept saying Mixu. But game 1, Trigger was having fun going for a Disruptor drop opener. We mentioned how it didn't really do well for itself. It wasn't really worth it. Didn't really get much damage done. So now we calm things down going for a much more standard Stargate opener. Are calming things down, and we'll see if Trigger can recover with more standard play. Again, Trigger, he isn't usually too much of a spicy player. Like when I think of the NA Protosses, when I think of Nina and Estrella, they're a lot more chaotic, and Trigger, he's a little bit more standard typically, which is why I was caught off guard last game. I was caught off guard by the opener of choice from Trigger. But you know how it is at HomeStory Cup. You know, everyone's vibing, everyone's chilling. To explore new aspects and avenues of PvZ. But now we're calming down. And we'll see where Trigger takes us. But now Adepts they shed into the main. Ooh. You managed to catch 2 workers. Not bad. 2 drones with 2 Adepts. It's an okay trade. I'm sure Trigger was hoping for a little bit better than a 1-to-1 trade. But hey, we got 5 lings. It wasn't just the 2 drones. As Trigger, he's going for a Twilight Council before the 3rd. Let's go. Do you see what I see? Glaive Adepts. Oh boy, very good. I was like, yo, Trigger, he's gonna calm things down. He's gonna go for a standard game. We're gonna take a 3rd base, run Alcyone. We're gonna macro, take a fort. Nah. I'm getting ahead of myself here. As Trigger, he chose violence here. Twilight Council will complete. Gateways are finishing up. We have a 4-gate setup. And show us the upgrade of choice. Should be Glaives. We could try to go into Blink, as we have yet to take a 3rd. Blink's take it in. No shot. Do we get into the main base? We go for the probe kills. 2 probes go down, but we don't get into the main. And here it is. Glaives are on the way. There was potential for a Link Scout, but Mixu, he was more concerned with economic damage. He does not check the main base. He's unaware of what's going on. He will delay the 3rd. And Mixu is going for a safe Roach Warren. Thankfully, Roach Warren has been thrown down, so he will have access to Roaches. We've seen in the past players that try to go into Lair Tech, into Ling Hydra, they just crumble against fast Adepts like this. So we do need those Roaches to hold the line. Roach Warren is more than halfway done. Glaives, likewise, halfway done as well. Now, it isn't just about having the Roach Warren, it's about actually making Roaches. If Mixu assumes that it's a standard game, if he drones up too much, if he doesn't make safety Roaches, then we could be in some trouble. Now, a handful of Adepts are revealed. That's going to be 5 Adepts. This is not too much of a tell. 5 Adepts at this stage of the game is normal, but the next wave has arrived. We're shading it across the map. Mixu has his Onaga. He does spot the army. He does confirm. He knows. And immediately 5 Roaches. Roaches are in production. Roaches are on the way. Mixu has the tools to defend, but can we piece it all together? Can we minimize losses as Trigger gets across the map, going for the third, shading towards the natural. At the same time, Link counterattack. We have Adepts to defend. We have Adepts back at home. 2 queens go down. We're going for the third. Who cares about workers when we can shut down every single queen? Oh my god, 1 barely survives. And we're going for the drones. Yeah, we had a full wall off at the natural base. 2 drones go down, but honestly, acceptable losses. Only 2 workers. We did bleed out 4 queens. But the roaches have arrived and we are shutting these Adepts down. At the same time, oh, stasis trap at the natural. The stasis the natural. Adepts do shade in. We're still not done. 5 drones go down. But the roaches are keeping up. Oracle towards the main. Adepts are going down. And the aggression has subsided. I say that we get extra 2 drones towards the end. 7 workers in total. Looking at the battle report here, that was 6 drones, 3 queens, 25 lings for 13 adepts. Not a bad trade, but ideally we were hoping to cripple the economy a little bit more here, as the worker counts are in favor of Trigger. Like, Trigger has a comparable worker count, is on 3 bases, no 4th, and Windows, we're still not done. Oh my god. We almost get the queen. Almost. But at least there's no 4th, right? That's the advantage here for Trigger is, again, I would say that Trigger has the economic lead. No 4th base yet from the side of Mixu. Lair just finished. We do have Roach Speed halfway done. Without Roach Speed, we cannot counterattack. We're calming things down. We're settling into a longer game. Trigger didn't do game-ending damage, but I think he did enough. And we're following this up with a gateway explosion. How many gateways do we have? We have 1 extra gateway on the way. 8 gate. 3 base all in. Let's go. Blink is about to finish +1 as well. We have 8 gateways finishing up here for Trigger. Again, Trigger, he chose violence today, Bobby. He shuts down the roaches, and we're going to keep pushing. We have the prisoner reinforced across the map. And thankfully for Mixu, he's not droning. He drones up to 67. The Prism! Prism takes a lot of hits. Big overextension out of Trigger. Remember, Trigger, he's all in. Like, there's no further tech behind this, no additional gas, no 4th base. I say that charge just now begins. More gateways on the way. Let's go. And we're pushing. We're committed. Now, as I mentioned before, Mixu has not been over droning, so he is focused on Roach Ling production. Can he hold on, though? Can we survive? Ling's being sent across the map. Roaches are vulnerable. They're going down. Expensive losses for Mixu. Lings, they hit the natural. They hit the third. Probes are falling. Poise are being pulled. Mixu, he's in trouble. Doesn't have enough support. Drones are going down left and right at the same time. So are probes. But Trigger, he defends. Adepts are warped in, he does defend. It looks like Trigger has too much. The Prism is vulnerable, the Prism is going to go down. Stasis goes off, the Prism falls, but we have still enough Stalkers. Can we keep pushing? Oh, it's close. Mixu holds, but he lost 20 workers. He lost 20 drones to defense. Snipes a couple of extra Stalkers. Not bad. Does snipe some Stalkers. Meanwhile, Trigger is still committed. The War Prism is being rebuilt as we speak. We're still doubling now. We're still sending everything across the map. Mixu survives, but is he really living? Again, his worker count is in shambles. He can barely afford to resaturate his army or to rebuild his army. Mixu, he's not out of the woods yet. As Trigger, he's not stopping. Like Trigger, he's doubling down. The Queen falls. The Queen does fall, and look at the unit tab. We are up to 21 Stalkers, more Stalkers than there are Roaches. 9 more Roaches on the way. Again, very few Lings, very little support for the Roaches themselves. Expensive losses here for Mixu. And Roaches are going down. Reinforcements have arrived for both players, and it looks like Trigger, he has too much. Yeah, he's broken the back of Mixu. Not enough Roaches, not enough supply. Boys are being pulled in a moment of desperation. But Trigger, he has done it. GG gets called. Trigger takes game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. We are going to the ace match. Let's go. Whew. GG. GG, well played. We are going all the way to game 3. Again, Trigger opening up with Glaive Adepts before the 3rd base into a 3 base all-in with 8 gate Blink Stalkers. A very aggressive playstyle here out of Trigger, and Mixu didn't lose too many drones against the Adepts, but did lose a lot of Queens. Likewise, 4th base was very late for Mixu as well. That does impact Larva. It isn't just lack of Queens for injects, it's also lack of 4th base for extra Larva as well. So we saw that Mixu just had a hard time keeping up there. Trigger, he went for the kill, did barely break through. GG, well played. We're going to game 3. We're going all the way to game number 3. Let's go. And really, that's all we wanted. We wanted an ace match between these two players. But who will take it in the end? Game 3 is going to be on Oceanborn. 3 is going to be on Oceanborn. Let's go. So players are ready. And we're loading it. Catching up. Are catching up. In NA standard is weird. True. I mean, again, I'm just used to seeing Trigger play a more macro style, but not here, not against Mixu. He's been wild both game 1 and in game 2. And how does our story end here in game 3? We'll go the way of the Protoss or the way of the Zerg, as spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Basilisk, tying up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. Can he go all the way? It is Trigger. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player from the land of Finland, representing Berserker Esports, being forced into the ace match, losing some of that momentum. Can he bounce back? It is Mixu. Here we go. So we are settling in. Macro? Wait a minute. Other players build more than 12 workers? Outrageous. Ice that. Let's go. Max Packs usually prefers to macro out of it. Yeah, it's I mean, you can go either or. Fun fact, was it ESL Open Cup Americas last week? We saw a similar playstyle out of Max Packs. We saw Max Packs also go Glaive Adepts into a 3-base all-in against Solar. But again, I feel like that's more of the exception to the rule. Max Packs does mix it up from time to time, but usually does macro out of it. You got options. You do have options there as a Protoss player. Can be hard to read from the defending Zerg, whether or not it is going to be an all-in or whether or not the opposing player is going to expand and take a 4th base. Regardless, we are settling into the ace match. For now, Hatch Gas full opener here at a Mixu. Everything looking normal from the side of Zerg. Likewise, across the map, gate expand from Trigger. But I feel like my eyes at this point have to be on Trigger, right? Like, my expectations have been have been swiped away. Game 1, we had Trigger open up with a Disruptor drop opener. Game 2 was a Stargate opener into Hidden Glaive Adepts into a 3-base all-in. So what do you have for us in Game 3? Void Ray opener? DTs into an Archon drop? Potentially. Like, again, Trigger has options. Options that I wasn't so certain he would have available to him, but clearly, he does. Clearly. So, what do you have for us, Trigger? What do you got? For now, take of choice, Stargate. It's going to be a Stargate opener out of Trigger. Would you have the beginnings of a standard game to get into an Oracle, into triple Oracle, into a 3rd base? But that is not something that we've seen yet out of Trigger this series. As we saw in the previous game, just because it's an Oracle opener doesn't mean that Adepts are not off the table. Or not on the table. Where's the table? I don't know. Step shades out. Dipping into the main. Queen's in position, links as well. Looks like the Adept is going to be shut down. Can we escape? Barely not. Adept does fall. Good pick off here out of Mixu. Second Adept dips in. Does take down the lane, but can't really threaten the mineral line anywhere near as much. Oh my god. This reach will not get a drone. Meanwhile, it's going to be an Oracle opener, not a Void Ray. That was another option available here to Trigger, is to go for a Void Ray opener into Hidden Tech. Instead, it is going to be the Oracle. Probe goes down. And we have a 3rd base. We have a 3rd Nexus. I don't see a tech structure. I don't see a Twilight Council. It looks like a standard game. He's crazy. Triple Oracle into a third. Let's go. We're expanding. We have map control, moving out to harass the mineral lines. Likewise, Mixu is joining up. No early Roach War, no early Lair, no early tech. Let us go. Interesting. As the Oracle takes a lot of hits, that's a fast robo. So we would typically see a Twilight Council and a Forge, but we're getting to a slightly faster robo. But there's the remaining tech. Twilight Council and Forge on the way. Likewise, 4-minute 30 timing for the Roach One. A very safe timing here from Mixu. It looks like he doesn't want to get done dirty again. This tells me that he's a little bit afraid of potentially another Glaive of Death build. So the Roach One is nicely timed, just in case we do need to invest into Roaches. So a very safe play out of Mixu. Lair is now on the way. And yeah, I was curious why we had such an early robo. We see why. Fast Immortal. This could be not for Blink, this could be for an Archon, for a Templar Archives. I'm curious if we're headed into Archon Immortal. Yeah, there we go. Charge on the way. I'm getting some Christiana vibes. For those that don't know, Christiana, he's very fond of Charge or Archon Immortal. He does things his own way though, and he does typically, you know, delay his third base and invest quite quickly into Archon production. For now, no Templar Archives in sight. Gateway Explosion, that's a lot of gates. 4, 6, 7, oh my god, calm down. The probe is stuck. No, we locked the probe in. He tried to make another gateway. Free him, Papi. It's okay, here comes the Prism. Prism is coming. We'll get you out. It's okay. We'll free you. As across the map, we're going to be harassing the mineral lines. Oracle's keeping Mixu busy. We'll save you, Papi. Don't worry. We'll save you. Prism, please. There we go. Stasis Trap in towards the natural. Oracle towards the main. Decent reaction, but ooh, 3 workers to get. No! Late reaction out of Mixu. 4 in the main, 3 at the natural. Oh my god, a second stasis! We catch almost the entire mineral line. Calm down. Unfortunate reactions there out of Mixu, and here comes the push. Here comes the 3 base all in. The probe is still stuck. We've left him behind. We're going for the kill. How many gateways? We have how many? 9 gateways done, soon to be 11. 11 gates. It's going to be a 3 base, 11 gates all in. That's a lot of gateways. +1 is still not quite done. We still need a couple more seconds. It's being chronoed as we speak. Ooh, and are we a little bit premature? Zelsa dive forward, only 1 immortal so far. Reinforcements still on the way. We do catch Queens. And Queens are going down. Still a very chaotic push here at a Trigger. And can he break through? The initial wave of Zealots are being cleaned up, but here comes the second wave. Second wave has arrived. We have the Prism to juggle. We need to save that Immortal. Roaches are amassing. Another Warpin coming in. The Biles will connect, but only 2 Biles. 2 Biles not enough to bring down the Prism. Prism survives. We juggle back the Immortal, and we've done it. We've broken through. The Queens have fallen. The Ravagers as well. And Trigger, he's snowballing out of control. He's busting into the third, in towards the natural. With only a single Immortal. He's crazy. Again, I was a little bit concerned that he came in too soon and the Immortal is going to go down. But we don't need it. Not anymore. Because we have a massive amount of Zealots. I mean, I say that the Roach count is getting a little bit higher. Is building up. We only got 5 worker kills. Mixu, we're holding on. We are holding. We do have a backup Immortal on the way. Mixu, he's surviving. Oh my god. And hey, we saved most of our drones. I was concerned that we had broken the 3rd base and killed all the workers, but no, Mixu, he did pull away in time. He did preserve them. And now we have a Roach army. An army to contend with. Oh, the Warpins are insane. 11 Zealots out of time. We deny the Warpin. Warpin is denied. Run by comes into the natural. Or comes into the 3rd. Into the mineral line. We are forced to recall that Immortal. And Trigger, he's running out of steam. He's running out of steam. He's running out of time. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Mixu. Trigger, he has no longevity here. No gases at the natural. No gas. Oh, yeah, no gases at the 3rd either. We're not ready for a long game. We will snipe the 4th. Not bad. And we get into the mineral line. We need more damage. This is a good start, but we need more. As Zelsa headed for the 3rd. Drop towards the natural base. Mixu getting pulled apart. He's going for a big counterattack. Drones are finally going down. But back at home, we take down the Artosis pylon. Getting on top of the Immortal. Massive pick up the Zealots. We're asleep. We need to engage. Immortals come back home. Trigger will defend, and he gets 17 drone kills across up. Do we get the third? We're so close! Oh my god, the third base will barely survive. Mixu, he holds on to his third. 3 base versus 3 base. But Trigger, we're bouncing back. We got the fourth. We killed 17 drones. We do have a Roach army, but we're now back up to 2 Immortals. Do we have the Prism? No, the Prism will snipe. 3 Immortals now. With the help of shield batteries and an overcharge, can we survive this? Just a very tense situation here for Trigger. We rotate around, we're going for the 4th Nexus. Looking to force a cancel. Hey, if Trigger got this up and running, that would have been huge. Alas, it does fall. Trigger trying to catch the Roach Ravager. The Vials! Don't quite connect. Stellar Runby is moving out across the map. Hitting the 3rd. We do have reinforcements. We keep up. Can we get the base? He's going for it! He right-clicks the hatchery. The hatchery goes down. The 3rd base is sniped. We have a 4th on the way, but now Mixu knocked down to 2 bases. Trigger, he's still in this map. He's still in this. We have 34 roaches, though. That's a lot of roaches. 34 roaches, 3 Ravagers. Can we hold? Can we survive this? There are 2 shield batteries at the 3rd base. No shield batteries at the natural. Mixu does rotate around. He's going for the natural. Trigger out of position. Misses the main army. We do catch 3 Ravagers, though. A bit of mispathing out of Mixu. 3 Ravagers go down. Roaches, they bust into the natural. They catch an Immortal. They're forcing Trigger to split up. Catching another Ravager. At the same time, Ling Runby hits the 4th. Hoping to contain Trigger to 3 bases. Yeah, the Roach Runby is being cleaned up. Trigger rotates around. Can he catch these roaches? He can! The roaches are going down. Can we even save the 4th? It's gonna be close. The Lings are putting in the work, though. They are putting in the work. We will save the 4th base. No shot! The 4th is saved. The Roach army forced back. We cannot engage, not with all these Immortals. Not head on. Mixu knows that. Trigger saves the 4th. Preserves his Immortal count. Building up his Zealots. Blink is on the way. We're taking gases. We can afford Stalkers. And Mixu's in trouble. Suddenly, Mixu, he's down in economy. He's down in workers. The quality of his army is being outscaled. We mentioned before on Amphion, the soup does lie. Sure, Mixu is ahead in army supply, but that is inflated here with these roaches. The Mass Immortal can have its way with this Roach army. If we're in position. We're in position here. Mixu going for a split push. Moving out towards the natural. Once again, catching an Immortal. That does force Trigger to rotate over, which means we expose the 4th. Immortal goes down. Trigger does leave an army in position. No shield battery. Uh-oh. No shield battery, but we do warp it in time. And Trigger, he holds onto the 4th. At the same time, cleans up the army at the natural. Trigger does split up his forces. Meanwhile, Mixu's working on +2. Still trying to resaturate, getting up to 65 workers. 3 base saturation out of Mixu. God, it's hard to call just because it's been this game has been so chaotic. it's been a roller coaster ride of emotions, Papi. Going one way and then the other, but now we have Blink, now we have +2, soon to be +3 on the horizon for Trigger. He's also got +1 armor. Archons are building up. Yeah, you can see the quality of this army is getting out of hand. I'm so impressed that Mixu survived earlier, but the window, it's closing. The window where Roach Ravager is viable. Queens are coming to the front lines. We might have transfuse potential with the next fight if we do keep spreading creep. Oh, but we catch the Ravagers. Oh, brutal force fields. Oh my god. 5 Ravagers and 3 Roaches for 1 sentry. The efficiency is insane. Catch out the Ravagers. The Queens, they're walking. We're pulling back. We're calming down. Likewise, more Ravagers on the way. We could potentially set up a surround. A surround would be ideal, but likewise, Trigger has a secondary force as well. Ensuring that doesn't happen. Not pushing deep onto creep. Trigger has to be careful. Mixu is set up. He's maxed out. And we're collapsing in. Yeah, we do collapse in, but again, Trigger, he was ready for it. He does protect his flank. Immortals are going down. There's no Prism to juggle. The Prism is late. We're down to 3 Immortals. 3 Immortals left, but it looks like we break the flank. We barely have any Roaches left. And Mixu was maxed, but Mixu, he crumbles. GG gets called, and Trigger will take the series 2-1. Taking down Mixu. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Again, that was maybe the best case scenario for Mixu. He had a surround set up, he was maxed out at 200 supply, but alas, he just could not contest against that many Immortals, against the Archons as well, against the upgrades. Of course, let's reiterate as well, we had 2-1, soon to be 3-1 upgrades for Trigger, just an insane upgrade lead as well. The quality of his army was insane, and that was just a wild game. GG, well played, very back and forth. Initially with Trigger hitting his charge all in, which didn't quite break his opponents. Mixu suddenly gaining map control and going for his own counterattack. Trigger barely holding on. That was beautiful. That was StarCraft. GG. GG, well played. Trigger takes it in the end. And Mixu will be taking a loss here, but we're still in the early rounds of the group. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back of yourselves.